Alrighty, so another News of the Week episode as we are now inching even closer to the beginning of the 2022 MLS regular season. At the time of this recording, still about 17 more days before the regular season began, and I think it's safe to say that I am starting to go back to just doing one News of the Week episode per week, because as we get closer into the beginning of the season, the rumor mill really started to die down, and there isn't going to be a lot of transfer signings and rumors that will happen as we had in the past couple of weeks. Now, that being said, there are some signings that happened this week, though some of them are ones that you kind of knew it was going to happen, and it's kind of a little bit of an old news, and that's kind of what the first topic we're going to talk about in this News of the Week, and that, of course, is Atlanta United officially confirming that Thiago Almanda has signed with the team. Now, it says there was a report that it's going to be a league record $16 million in terms of the transfer fee. I mean, there's three things with Atlanta and the off-season: death, taxes, and them always tends to break the transfer record every single year. But obviously, this shouldn't be a big surprise because we knew that this was going to be a hefty fee that Atlanta United was going to pay, and that, technically they kind of have said that they're going to get Almanda throughout the entire offseason. The only reason why they haven't officially made it, or they haven't made it official, is because they had to deal with the Ezequiel Barco situation, need to move him out as a DP so that they can, of course, open a DP slot for Thiago Almanda to use. So, yeah, we shall see how he's going to do. I mean, I know he has had some history in terms of off-the-field situation, and, Darren Eels have mentioned about that, and he's trying to kind of play it down a little bit about his off-field situation. But, if he does well with this team, I think those off-field situations will kind of be forgotten. Now, if he does not do well, then not only those off-field situations will not be forgotten, but this feels like it's going to be another Pity Martinez situation with Atlanta throwing big money of a very talented player coming down from South America and coming down to Argentina, and yeah, we'll see whether or not if this, of course, would work out. Now, the Chicago Fire has officially signed Xherdan Shaqiri for a report $7.5 million contract, and if that, of course, is the case, that I think would make him the highest earner in the league, because I think the highest earner right now is Gonzalo Higuain with that $7 million contract, though he's going to be surpassed in the summer, because when Lorenzo Insigne comes to MLS and comes to Toronto, I think his contract is like $15 million, which is twice as much that Shaqiri is going to get. But nevertheless, again, this is just kind of a signing that's similar to what the last one I talked about, that we knew this was going to happen. And yeah, I'm very excited to see how Shaqiri is going to do. I mean, I said that I think this is definitely going to help this Fire team, and that maybe this Fire team, I know heading into this season it's kind of like a rebuild that they're going in, but the way that they've been making moves this offseason, their front office don't feel like this is a rebuild. This feels like it's more of a retool after they kind of blow the whole squad up, and that, so far when you look at the team that they have, this team maybe could actually do something, and especially, Shaqiri, I would not be surprised he's the best MLS. He'll be in the best MLS 11 at the end of the season, because he is just that talented of a player, and he has shown doing his career in Europe. Now, DC United has officially signed Ecuadorian striker Michael Estrada on loan from Toluca, and again, this is another signing that we knew it was going to happen, and again, we will see whether or not if this, of course, would work out for DC, because, they desperately need, well, I wouldn't say they desperately need a number 9, because they already have a number 9 in Ola Kamara, though I have heard there's been whispers saying that they could potentially be moving on from Ola Kamara and actually sell him to another team, and Michael Estrada is going to be the guy that's going to be leading the line for this DC team, and we'll see whether if he does well too, because I've heard report saying that he's actually hasn't done well with Toluca this season, and that he's been kind of in a bit of a poor form, but when he's with the national team, he turns out to be a decent player. So that kind of reminds me a little bit of a certain player called Francesco Calvo, of how how Calvo tends to be bad in the club level, but when he, of course, plays for Costa Rica, he turns out to be an absolute absolute start. So again, we'll see if that, of course, is the case, and especially the fact that I will also say that a Liga MX striker that tends to struggle in form and come to MLS and doesn't really find the same success. Isn't that also sounds something similar to a certain Frank O'Hara that heard when FC Dallas decided to get him? So yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of saying this as kind of maybe a little comparison, but we'll see if of course would work out for DC, and you assume it has to work out with the way that they heard they have spent some big money in order to get him on loan here from Toluca. Now, speaking of striker, Toronto FC have found their future striker, as Jesus Jimenez is what they're thinking that they're going to be. He is going to be their future number 9 after he is signed from Polish club Górnik, and I think it's Zabrze. I think that's how you pronounce. And again, he is there to replace Josie Outdoor, who, by the way, I didn't write this on the board, but I'm pretty much you guys know where Josie Outdoor actually went. He actually went to the New England Revolution, which basically further certified that the New England Revolution in Bruce Arena is trying to create the U.S. men's national team from the past. And I mean, I guess it's a good idea in some sense that maybe some of those guys still have something left in the tank, but it's kind of weird the fact that they trying to recreate the U.S. men's national team from the past, especially that U.S. men's national team from the past. And when I talk about the past, I meant the last qualifying window. Yeah, they did not get to the World Cup, and the certain thing happened in Trinidad and Tobago in 2017 that a lot of those players that the Revs, of course, got this off season were actually there. So I'm not saying anything's going to be bad's going to happen, but it's just kind of a weird way for them to, of course, build a squad. But hey, if it leads to an MLS Cup, I don't think anybody's complaining about. But going back to this, this is also going to be similar to what I said about Michael Estrada, where it's kind of an interesting one. I mean, TFC has been linked with a lot of big name striker. I mean, I remember when they used to link with Andre Belotti down in Serie A, and obviously that unfortunately never panned out. And eventually there was the name that Jesus Jimenez was going to be coming to this team, and now he, of course, comes to this team. We'll see if he can live up to what TFC hope that he's going to be the future number 9. I mean, no pressure for him. He's only there to try to replace Josie Outdoor, who is considered one of the most lethal number 9 in the league, and has really teared up the each season during his time with TFC, barring the last couple of seasons when things kind of turned sour. Now, moving on in terms of the next news is NYCFC. They signed defender Thiago Martins from Yokohama F. Mariners as a designated player. Now, I've said before how when you sign a defender, it's kind of a bit of a cardinal sin to make them a designated player, because usually when you of course sign a DP, you want to make sure it's in a place where it's more valuable on the field. And this is why we've seen a lot of teams when they sign their DP, usually a number 10 position or a number 9 position. But we have started to see more and more often where teams are actually kind of commit that unofficial rule of DP, where you're not supposed to use your designated player spot on a defender. So I guess maybe this isn't a good signing. I mean, the other thing that's kind of weird about this is the fact that we don't know if he of course is going to fit in MLS, and especially him coming from the J League, which there's not a lot of MLS player that comes to J League ever in this league, let alone be very successful. And not to mention the fact that I don't think NYCFC really need to sign another defender. I mean, they might still need defender in terms of depth, but in terms of starting quality defender, they've already had it. I mean, they already have Alexander Callens and Maxime Chanel there. So where exactly is Thiago Martins gonna fit in this team. I mean, again, it's kind of a weird signing in that I think the only way I can maybe think this signing would make sense is that eventually they'll buy him down on a TAM contract, something similar to what TFC could potentially do when they got Carlos Salcedo from Tigres and signed him on a DP contract. Now, speaking of defender, the Portland Timbers have re-signed defender Jose Carlos Rankin, and this, I think it's been long overdue because this has been one of the bigger question for the Timbers this offseason, besides the whole Sebastian Blanco situation, and that is when exactly they're going to re-sign Jose Carlos Rankin, and it seems like they finally did it. And now the only question is, when are they going to sign Sebastian Blanco? Which, by the way, from what I heard, is that the reason why maybe there's a hesitant that the Timbers front office trying to re-sign Sebastian Blanco is that they find something wrong with his knees that he of course was injured during his time in the playoffs, and it seems like that healing process is not really going right and the timeline that he of course returned, or it could also maybe affect his career down the line. But either way, whatever it is, it's kind of surprising that they still haven't locked up Sebastian Blanco, and that if they do not re-sign Blanco, it's gonna be interesting to see what they're going to do. I mean, I know they will find a way to use a DP spot to replace him, but Blanco is kind of a generation talent, and we saw that last season for the Timbers. So if they do lose him and do not re-sign to a new contract, yeah, it does definitely cripple that Timbers attack a little bit. I wouldn't say a lot, because last season we did see the Timbers still able to win games without Blanco. But if they want to be a team that want to go back to MLS Cup and actually finish the job and win the whole thing again, they need Blanco back in this team. So yeah, we'll see whether they can of course get that deal done. But at least they got one of the biggest question and one of the re-sign that they've been wanting to do this offseason in Jose Carlos Rankin. Now, moving on in terms of now talk about some of the transfer report is at DC United. So I talk about how DC have already signed a striker from Liga MX. Well, they're looking to sign another one, and they're actually looking to try to sign Carlos Tevez, who I think he is still playing with Boca Junior. I mean, it's hard to believe Carlos Tevez is still playing with the way that, he's like 38 years old, and I heard he is still scoring goals. Now, I know it's also kind of tempting for DC to try to make him a DP player, because, I'm pretty sure if Carlos Tevez ever want to come to MLS, he would want to pay handsomely before riding off the sunset. But I mean, I feel like giving a designated player spot for a guy that is going to turn 39, I believe, this year, yeah, that's a bit of a risk, especially with the way that, if he maybe have 1 or 2 years left in the tank. I mean, I don't know exactly how many years left in the tank it is, because again, I heard Carlos Tevez is still scoring goals, and as long as you're a striker and you're still scoring goals, you have plenty left in the tank. But it just gets to a point where it's not really a good idea to sign a DP player here that is getting so close to the end of his career. And we'll see whether or not if DC is going to do that. I mean, if it's on a TAM contract, I think that's a good idea, and that if DC can use Tevez, who I'm not sure if Losada is going to maybe go with 2 striker with both Estrada or Tevez, or in the case maybe Kamara or Tevez in that line. Well, actually no, it's not Kamara and Tevez. There's no way Losada is going to let Estrada just sit on the bench after they sign him from Toluca. But it'll be interesting to see how their striker situation it is going to be, and this is just kind of an interesting signing, and it definitely will be a signing that will bring butts to the seat, knowing the fact that Carlos Tevez, it's a big name, and it's a guy that it's hard to believe, even though he is starting to get near the end of his career, he's still scoring goal he is basically in his prime. Now, the New York Red Bulls have reported to sign Legia Warsaw central attacking midfielder, and I believe it's pronounced Likinis. it's a Brazilian attack midfielder, and that apparently they're going to sign him for $3 million. Now, this is another one of those kind of signings that the Red Bulls usually make that you just thinking, well, okay. I mean, it's a guy that comes in a league that is at least notable for MLS team to basically sign players from there, but it's also a guy that not a lot of people have heard of, and I haven't heard a lot about whether or not if he is decent or not, and the fact that they're also going to get Caden Clark back this season at least because he's currently on loan with RB Leipzig, or unless Leipzig decide to get him back or recall him from loan. This is kind of an interesting signings. I guess maybe this is just them thinking about the future of when Caden Clark does get either recall from loan or his loan spell come to an end. Then this guy is going to be the replacement for him. But when you pay $3 million to try to get a guy like him, I don't think this is going to be a player that's just going to be sitting behind Caden Clark and observing that. And in many ways, I think it could be the opposite way. Though, if it's the opposite way, I don't think that's going to be a good idea either, because Caden Clark want to get some more minutes for this team, and especially prove the fact that he is definitely going to be good enough to get some minutes once his loan deal is done with the Red Bulls and going to Leipzig. So yeah, we'll see how this situation is going to be. But now moving on, in terms of the next report, is Minnesota. So they are report to sign Luis Amarilla again, and I've heard this rumor a lot during the off season, but this looks like it's getting close to being done. And I'm interested to see how Amarilla is going to do in his second stint with the Loons. I mean, I feel like in his first stint, I mean, before he of course suffered for some injuries, he was definitely looking like a guy that was a real deal. I mean, he said it himself that he's going to score 25 goals in MLS, and at least in the first couple of games that he played, I think he scored like 2 goals and was already on point to do so. Now, obviously, I don't think he's going to score 25 goals in general. I think he's just saying that because he's feel confident he's going to be a goal scorer in this league, and I think he is a goal scorer, and I also feel like it was kind of a little bit of a mistake from the Loons' part where they decided to let him go, because again, I think during his struggle in the MLS's back tournament was a lot to do with the injuries that he was dealing with. So yeah, I would definitely be happy to see him back, and definitely will be a huge piece for this attack, and hopefully maybe finally solve the issue of not having a reliable number 9 on this team. But we shall see once this deal, of course, see when this deal is going to be done, and let's also see whether or not if this could maybe be a DP kind of signing, because I would love to see Amarilla back, but do we really need to use a DP spot on him? I mean, we can maybe use a DP spot on him if he of course start to perform and start to score a bunch of goals, but for now, I would be more comfortable for him to just occupy a TAM contract, because when he signed with the Loons in his first stint, wasn't he was signed on a TAM contract? So I wouldn't think that it would be different this time that they decide to sign him again for the second time. Now, the Colorado Rapids midfielder Brian Galvan, he's out long term after undergoing knee surgery, so tough break for the Rapids, losing a guy that I really think was really underutilized last season under Robin Fraser, and this season they're not going to have a chance to use him in either because of him going through knee surgery. And that, yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting to see how the Rapids are going to fill that hole. I mean, again, since he was kind of underutilized and wasn't a regular starter, the only thing that they do lose is a little bit in terms of that depth. But again, you know that you need to of course have some good depth, and that in case if Mark Anthony Kaye does get injured for this team, they won't have the luxury of bringing Galvan as kind of his replacement. Now, moving on in terms of the next news is Andy Polo. So looked like he might not be playing any times for the Portland Timbers because he has been suspended and removed from all team activity after he was accused of being of domestic violence a couple of days ago, and this is obviously sad to see that happen. I mean, anytime when I see a player getting commit of domestic violence, I'm just hoping that, of course, it is not the case, and in this case, it's just going to be an allegation, and yeah, we'll see how the investigation is going to be, and if he is going to be found guilty of domestic violence, the Timbers are not going to keep him around. I mean, this is the same team that had to deal with the shtick of Brian Fernandez, and we know how that, of course, ended with the way that they had to cut him because of the ongoing problem he has off the field. Now, moving on into the last news on this board is that former New England Revolution star Lee Nguyen has officially announced his retirement, and I'm definitely going to do a career video about Lee Nguyen, considered to be one of the more underrated attacking midfielder during the MLS 1.0 era. And speaking of the career video, I do apologize that I haven't really got to any career video during this off season. I mean, the off season is usually when I do a lot of career video, but again, because of the fact that this is a short off season and knowing that I had to do a lot of these season preview on a short amount of time, that's why I haven't really got to the career video. But hopefully, once the regular season is going to be tough for me to do a career video, but if I do have time to do so, I'll definitely do a career video, and especially do that Chris Wondolowski career video that, I know I kind of broken that promise that I was going to do it right after when he retired, but I know for sure that I'm going to do it alongside with Lee Nguyen and all these other career videos that I've already have planned to do in the future. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video, and as always, if there's any news on this board that I didn't mention, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.